Hey, and welcome back. We're here on the podcast with Mr. Jon Mest, or Jon Mest, I should say. And Mr. Jon Mest has two websites. There's justreachout.io, which is AI-powered PR software to crush your outreach. And we also have ChatRank.ai, which tracks and improves your brand's visibility across multiple leading AI tools. So if you're the kind of person that says, I always have the FOMO, the jealousy, the envy of other people that seem to have their AI dialed in, they target market, they're doing the outreach, they're doing the follow-up. How do I get on that AI train? Well, we're in exactly the right place with Mr. Jon, who's a data scientist by training, but he's a salesperson by accident, and he loves working with customers more than any other part of his job. So we'll find out about these two amazing tools, Just Reach Out and ChatRank, and how it can help us get our AI, our press, our buzz dialed in. So, Mr. Jon, glad to be speaking with you.
Thanks so much for having me, Robert.
Well, so what did I leave out there in that bio, the introduction? There's all kinds of a swirl of amazing ideas, but what are you up to? What's your current focus and passion?
Yeah. So at Just Reach Out, we kind of stumbled backwards into this where my team and I, we've been operators, we've been technology founders, we've been software coders. We've kind of held every different job possible at different various technology companies. One thing we hadn't really done was marketing. So it's funny that we now own and operate two marketing companies here in the digital marketing space. But what we realize is that overall, it doesn't matter what your role is when you're building and scaling a business, marketing is going to be part of that. It doesn't matter if you're an ice cream shop or an AI startup. You need to understand your customer. You need to understand how to market, how to do it efficiently. And so what we've learned over the course of the last few years with building out Just Reach Out and now ChatRank is just, any business owner, whether you run a nonprofit or an ice cream store, like I mentioned, you need to understand your customers. You need to understand how to get the marketing out there. And so Just Reach Out, really focus on the press outreach, how to get yourself booked onto podcasts or kind of quoted in various publications or kind of have yourself guest post a really nice blog post for another site. And then ChatRank is all about how to rank in the AI models and how to make sure your brand is visible and aware to others and like things like ChatGPT or Google AI Answers. So I'd love to dive into both, but I kind of like overall, that's kind of really where we focus as a team. And it's been a really exciting time here in 2025.
Yeah, and it blows my mind a little bit. And I'm like a kid in a candy store here. I'm like, I'm not even sure which one I want to talk about first, because the whole idea with ChatRank, I mean, like, people talk about, well, how do I rank highly on like Google or Bing or something like that? And then when the smart speakers came out, there's a lot of talk of that with the voice search. Like, how do I make it so that if someone uses an Alexa speaker to ask a question, it's not a bunch of results. It's only one result. So how do I rank that? And you're blowing my mind here. I hadn't even thought of when someone enters a query in Gemini, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Claude, whatever. How do we game the SEO? But there's got to be a better way to say it. How do we rank as that top spot for the answer? I'm like, this is some really cool stuff. And so I like the idea of like going back to basics, right? Because I think that that's not done enough. Like, you think about, okay, well, I've got, say I'm Mr. Jon from 10 years ago, right? And I'm really smart, got smart people on my team, got to get great product. How do we get the word out? People always think of like sales, right? Let me make some phone calls, but then you do the sales. What do? They look you up. And man, Jon, as a podcast host, I'll search someone's name. I'll find very few Google results. Maybe I'll find like a website, the copyright dates from like 5 years ago. I'll find very little YouTube, LinkedIn presence. And so there's definitely this need to put out the press versus if I find someone and it's like they've been on Inc. magazine, they've been an entrepreneur, I'm like, that's all I need to know, right? They've got the credentials, they've kind of done the work in order to get this that one little achievement, and it's like, cool, that's all I need to know. I know, like, and trust them. And so what to you is marketing and press all about? What is needed that Just Reach Out helps with?
100%, you are correct in all that you just said there, in that marketing and press and building awareness for your brand, it's telling a story. That's really what it's all about. And so we've seen time and time again with Just Reach Out, our customers that have the most success and that really kind of like thrive in that environment. Yes, the AI enabled search to help you build your media list is amazing, and the AI assisted like pitch writing is great, and like our team helps you kind of craft the messaging and get that out to the journalists. That's all. Like, the software is good. I can not try to downplay the software at all. It's a great tool to help make all this more efficient. But really, PR and press is about storytelling. It's about getting the word out there about why you are uniquely capable of telling that story. And so if you're a business, it's all about what are you doing to solve a problem? Why do your customers care about that problem? Why are you're solving a market need? Like that is really a story you need to tell. And just like sales, where you're trying to sell somebody, you're trying to sell the journalist, the whomever that's out there, the podcaster, the YouTuber, the blogger, why your story matters and why their audience, their readers or listeners will care about it. And so Just Reach Out is a really good tool to help kind of start with, I have a great idea, I have a great company, I'm an amazing individual with a consulting business, or I just wrote a book, whatever it might be. You have to get the word out there to the press and then make them like care about your story. That's storytelling, and that's what Just Reach Out really helps you kind of do. And then super efficiently then turn that into outreach and kind of getting yourself actually booked into those publications.
Well, very cool. And so these are some amazing insights here, Mr. John, especially that this whole idea of marketing, it's sales, but to that journalist who will then amplify you. And man, the cruel joke of life is that no one told us geeky software guys that we'd have to figure out these other skills, right? You can have a really good like graphics editor, video editing software, whatever, but then you need to get people interested in it. You need to tell a story, have a beginning, middle, and an end. And what you said in there is that, well, the story explains the need that was not solved, and then your solution, software, book, whatever solved it. And then who are the people that were stuck? And then your solution got them unstuck. And that seems like a great starting point framework for something that it's exciting. It's not just bragging about you. It's talking about like all these different use cases so people can like see themselves using your app, your SaaS, your book, or whatever. And so as far as I'm curious about like before all this, right? Before Just Reach Out, before ChatRank, like where were you stuck as far as the marketing and the press?
Yeah, so there's a couple things I'll point to there. The first is about storytelling, and the second is about actually trying to build press. And so early in my career, this was, gosh, dating myself, it was 2014. I was a brand new data scientist at an amazing company in New York called 1010 Data. I was really kind of building different data products and doing some really heavy querying of data to understand, for Procter & Gamble as our client at the time. They were really trying to understand, this seems silly now where we are today, but in 2014, Gillette was a big business for them, and they wanted to know, this Dollar Shave Club, Harry's Razors, are they real? Are these actually like relevant companies that we should care about? And I was building out data products for them, and my boss at the time was like, "Why don't you just fly to Cincinnati and go work with them and talk them through this all?" And I didn't. I was a developer. I didn't talk to people, but they put me on a plane. They sent me out there, and I sat in a room with some folks from P&G for basically 3 straight weeks and worked with them to understand. And by the end of that, they realized, no, these are real competitors. This is a real problem for us as we try to like defend our Gillette business. But it was all about telling that story, understanding what the data was saying, and translating that into like a prominent business directive that they could take. That was eye-opening to me. I was 24 years old. I was just like, wow, this is not just like writing code. This is actually going to solve a business problem for this enormous Fortune 100 company that's going to then action on this. That was just like eye-opening to me, and kind of sprouted the rest of my career around not just being a technical resource, but being like in technical sales or customer success, or kind of just solving problems for our clients. And that was always super fun to me. So fast forward then to a couple of years ago, I was helping found a payment startup in the healthcare space, and we were looking to get some press for our business. And we hired a expensive, fancy New York City PR agency that charged us, I don't want to name who they are, they charge us tens of thousands of dollars per month with a 3-month engagement. And at the end of our 3 months, we got nothing, like, literally zero. And that is just a frustrating thing to look at and see like, wow, we just spent a lot of money and got nothing in return. And we kind of started back to our basics. And it's like, what do you need to do to actually like get press? And like I said before, it's about telling a good story. So we kind of took a step back, thought about what story we wanted to tell, helped kind of tell that in a smarter way, did our own PR outreach, did our own press outreach, and ended up, like getting on the cover, getting onto Forbes and TechCrunch. And so that was just a way that we realized it's not just about, somebody selling you very expensive relationships through an agency. It's about telling a story in a smart way to the right audience. And that leads into like what we did with Just Reach Out around just helping people really understand how to kind of go through and navigate this process. Most of our clients have never done PR before. They've never brought PR in-house before. This is businesses doing it for themselves. And so we really kind of enabled our own experiences and our own learning from what worked for us and what didn't work for us, made some mistakes along the way, and then kind of taught that to our customers. And it's really done really well for us.
Well, very nice. Well, I can see the value in taking the PR in-house because, like, I've heard similar stories like what you just mentioned there, where like you have some client, they paid a bunch of money and they put out a press release, and that was it. And you're like, what? Like, isn't there supposed to be like something more ongoing? And I like what you said there about how, well, there's the storytelling, but there's also the storytelling to the right audience. And we also mentioned podcast guesting a few minutes ago, and I always find that like a cool. It's not a no fail way of going about it, but it's more like a consistent kind of like better stacked for success approach, isn't it? Because it's like you can just try it out and start having the conversations like you're doing here. Like you've already packed in like 7 or 8 amazing stories. You can figure out what works and tap into these different audiences, and then kind of get the SEO, the EEAT, the social content, all the acronyms that the kids are loving these days. And then I have to admit, like, I'm not as PR savvy as you are, so I imagine that by being on like the smaller shows or the base hits, then you can then kind of build yourself up and get on Forbes or get on Entrepreneur Magazine. Is that kind of on the right track? Just that the more PR you do, you make it a habit, you can like raise your profile and go for like bigger leaps and bounds.
Absolutely. And so you kind of brought up a couple things there, but there's a difference between PR and publicity. Publicity is about getting like buzz for an event, for a thing, something that happened. PR is ongoing. PR is all the time. It's just building your brand and awareness and your press capabilities all like throughout the year. And so we work with our customers on like building out the next 12 months of PR, like what you're going to be focusing on and doing for the next, 6 to 12 months. That's important. So you're absolutely right. Utilizing and building off of these types of shows can then lead you to a higher profile over time. And that we see that happen all the time. It's very, very common. And it's not just like these shows you're describing like as a smaller, say, podcast. They're actually excellent for you in many ways, not just for you as a business owner or as a leader telling your story in a long form interview, which is always kind of what people want to do anyway. And that's why I think podcasts have blown up over the last, decade or so. But really, it's also like great for SEO. When you record a podcast, you get your brand and your sites like listed in the show notes. You get picked up by YouTube and iTunes and Spotify, and like it actually is, from a technical perspective, also really good for your brand too. So every little bit helps, and we always encourage our customers to start what feels comfortable for them, and then build themselves up over time.
Well, very cool. And like, you're so right that podcasting's blown up. And it seems like before podcasting, there was all this discussion of the guest blog posting, right? You do all these pitches, and then you get some big site to accept you, and then you have to like go and write the thing. And like, it's like, man, how many weeks, months is that? Versus you do the podcast outreach, you get on the podcast, you speak it out, and it's better, right? Because there's video, there's audio, there's all these other things that you say, there's all these keywords that you rank for. And I just feel like whenever I'm in a buying mood, whenever I'm looking for an actual solution, I'm not reading the blog post. I'm looking at the podcast. I'm looking at the YouTube, because I get a better feel for all the nooks and crannies and what I do know and what I don't know. And so speaking of that, as far as you have these people that use Just Reach Out for this ongoing PR to map out these next 12 months, to get on podcasts, to pitch to relevant journalists and all that, like what do people need to know? What maybe are they not anticipating when they use their software? What are the hiccups, the hangups, the danger zones that they don't expect before they jump in?
Yeah, it goes back to something we talked about a little bit earlier, but the customers that have success with Just Reach Out and that stay with us for a long time are the ones that actually understand what PR is all about, which is like what you mentioned before, telling a good story and finding that correct audience for you. So the ones that don't do as well don't really take our advice there. They reach out to a bunch of journalists in a very generic way and say, "Hi, I'm John. I'm amazing. Write about me." And frankly, they don't get written. You're not going to get written about. That's not going to work. And so what people don't realize when they come to Just Reach Out is that you have to think about, like, just like we talked about earlier around sales and how you're kind of selling to the journalist. Think about, who is the journalist I'm reaching out to? Is it a highly technical trade publication in my niche? Okay. So if I reach out to them, I could probably give them a very in-depth pitch on like why the detailed intricacies of my business matter to them, because their audience cares about that. They're reading a very niche like trade journal. Whereas if I'm pitching to Forbes or Entrepreneur, I'm pitching a high level. This is the reason why we're going to change the world. This is the reason why this is going to be revolutionary for this industry, because that's what their audience wants to read. Same thing with bloggers or podcasters or YouTubers, whomever. It's about taking who you're reaching out to, understanding who their audience is, and understanding from them, okay, I know that John has a good story, but our audience likes this, and then matching those two together and pitching that journalist, that person, on a story that will resonate for them and their audience, but also self-servingly helps yourself pitch your business and promote yourself. And that's kind of a fun game our customers like to play. And And the ones that do well with that do exceptionally well building press for their businesses. And the ones that can't really figure that out are oftentimes the ones that end up churning because they just can't. It's not that the software is not working, it's that they're not able to kind of identify and pitch that story that resonates.
Yeah, they don't have the empathy that's required, right? You have that journalist, the publication. Well, they're not just taking anyone. That they get pitches all the time. They have this audience. They need to serve this audience properly. So is that audience more big picture, high level, or are they more technically oriented? And what do they usually like and what's missing and all that good stuff. And so but I can imagine that might be a recipe for driving oneself crazy. So as far as like people that these people that you're mentioning that use your software, use your service and succeeded, do you have a fun story, since we're all about storytelling here today? Do you have a cool story to tell us about like some client, some company that used Just Reach Out and they're like one of these people that like really did things right, really had it dialed in?
Of course. We have some amazing stories we work with at Just Reach Out because, like I said, we work with any different type of organization, person, business, etc. And so we've had some amazing nonprofits use our tool to really build awareness and around their brands. And so we had an amazing story where we had a client who she had been diagnosed with cancer in her 30s. She got through it. She fought it. She started a foundation to support research in that space and was using our tool and our services to help build awareness for her new nonprofit. Ended up getting into Today.com, the Today Show, to help her like kind of tell that story in a great way. Again, she had an amazing story, but it was a matter of kind of getting that out there to the right audience to tell that story. We work with clients in like the recovery and addiction space where they're for-profit businesses. They're not trying to hide that, but they're helping people every single day and being able to tell the market and tell people about how they're kind of bringing in new patients and kind of helping them understand like this is it's helping people and it's really kind of adding like new light and kind of bringing like joy to people through either a faith-based approach or just traditional, just I don't know, substance abuse or mental health and things like that. There's just some amazing stories of people that utilize their great stories and what they're doing to actually promote their businesses and in a way that kind of brings them again more revenue. Like we're PR for the sake of PR is fine, but like we're really focused on helping our clients, bring in additional customers, bring in additional revenue, or bring in additional awareness that they couldn't get otherwise from traditional channels. And so I can name you 100 different stories here, but I think really for us, it's always the most fun to see our customers taking our advice, telling a good story, and seeing that come to fruition.
Very nice. And I think that the subtext of what I'm hearing from you is that there's a need to educate people, right? If there's this cancer awareness or there's the addiction awareness, whatever the cause is, we always have like the first impressions or the cliches or the assumptions. Oh, like, oh yeah, I've heard about that. And that's my thinking, but it's like you need to change people's minds, right? You need to get to them to donate to that cause or go to that website. And like, how do you break through? Because we're all very much like locked into our prejudices, right? They always say like you think 98% of the same thoughts. And so it seems like the way to break through is by telling these stories. And you think about the number of stories that we get hit with on a daily basis, like from the news and the podcasting and the YouTubes. It's like, well, we like, why not me, right? Why not my company? And using Just Reach Out to make that happen. And I want to circle back around to Just Reach Out at the end here, but I want to also make sure there's time to fit in ChatRank.ai, because at first I opened up the tab, but then when we started talking, it's like, oh man, to rank on these AI platforms and get leads from them, like that's some amazing stuff. And so I guess first of all, like why the split focus? Why not go all in on Just Reach Out? Why is ChatRank also a priority for you?
Yeah, so ChatRank was actually born out of a need for ourselves. So at Just Reach Out, we are a software platform. People can go into our website, just sign up. And so we go through traditional channels for customer acquisition, including, we have an amazing blog. We do eat our own dog food, do great SEO, and we do really good with our PR outreach. But also at the same time, we also, pay for Google ads like any other business might want to do. And so there's a period last August where I was kind of looking at my credit card for the business account, and I was like, wait a second, Google hasn't charged my card in a while. That's interesting. And I went into our Google Ads account and realized we spent a lot of money on Google Ads, and Google had spent exactly $4 of our ad budget in the last 3 weeks. And I was like, something must be broken. How is Google like only spent $4 the last 3 weeks? And I looked and nothing was broken. And I was like, this is so strange. And I went to some of our top like core keywords and went to Google, and I realized that Google put a big giant AI overview right at the top of our pages there. And so our sponsored posts, our great SEO written like blogs that were like ranking really well on page one, weren't even getting seen because they were getting completely usurped by the AI overview. So we realized that Google just couldn't spend our money because people weren't even getting to our ad to click on it. They were just seeing like the AI overview. And we're like, wow, well, however we get into that AI overview, that's, I mean, other than our time, that's free. Like if you can get into that, you can't pay to get into the AI models. How do you kind of rank yourself, make sure your brand is ranked best for those Google AI overviews? But also, people go to ChatGPT and they type things like, I'm trying to bring PR in house for the first time. I just fired my PR agency. What do I do? Are there tools that can help me? I don't want to pay too much money. What's an affordable DIY approach? Like these are things people are asking. They're having conversations with the AI models to learn more about and do this research. That like making sure your brand ranks in these models is more important now than ever. So we built kind of some strategies and did a lot of research and understood how these models work like late last year. We started doing it for ourselves and we realized it was working. Like we were outranking our competitors that spend millions of dollars more than we do on marketing. We were outranking them in the AI models. And we're like, well, this is really interesting. This is doing great for us. How do we then bring this to other people? And so we were originally going to build it into Just Reach Out. We actually separated it into its own product because it kind of is its own like beast to kind of think about how to rank better in the AI models. So that led to ChatRank. So by the end of last year, we had kind of figured it all out. We built a product around it, and now it's out there and available, and we're really excited about it. Mainly because, like I said, like Google's not going away. Traditional search is not dying, as people might want to say, but people are more and more using the AI models to do their research and understand. People love to ask in natural language, not just Nike running shoes size 12 or whatever. Like that's not how you use ChatGPT. The way you use ChatGPT is, I'm training for a marathon. I need to understand how to a trade-off between high performance and quality and comfort sneakers. To give me 5 examples of why I should care about this, and then give me 10 of the best sneaker ideas. It just you're thinking about like you're asking in a different way than you might talk to Google or traditional search, and making sure you understand how people are using the AI models determines how you should think about ranking in different prompts and ideas. So the example I like to give is you're a coffee shop here in St. Pete, Florida. Yes, of course you want to be ranking well for best coffee in St. Pete, but you also want to be ranking for, I'm in St. Pete for a weekend. Where should I like go and explore? And you want to make sure that in the afternoon, when the AI model will say you should go get some coffee at 2 o'clock, they mention your coffee shop. Like, there's different ways you might want to try to rank in these models that is very, very different than traditional search. And so we've kind of taken that approach. We understand how to do this properly and help your brand kind of go ahead and do that. We have strategies and suggestions that we've seen over and over again work for our customers.
Well, this is a very amazing frontier that you found, right? Because you figure that with search engine ranking and Google, you're like, okay, there's the paid ads and there's the SEO, and then it seems like they snuck AI in on us at one point, right? Where there's like that list of questions, and we don't even give it a second thought, right? You do a search and it tries to say like, hey, here's the questions related to that you might ask, and here's the AI generated answers. And then you're also giving me a little bit of an aha, John, is that many times I will do a ChatGPT search instead of a Google search, especially like if I'm like, well, I need a specific piece of software, right? Like I need to know like what WordPress plugin is for this, or do I use QuickBooks or Zero or something like that? And I'm like, well, if I did a Google search, I might even do like a little bit of a long tail keyword, but I know I'm in for like trying to like rephrase it in my head, right? There's the actual phrase I want to do, but then there's like the shorter Google search, and I know I'm going to come through like 4 pages and open up a bunch of tabs and then go and do some other searching and then like try to narrow it down, versus like the ChatGPT or the LLM shortcut is like just listing it and then having a couple of back and forths. And it feels like I feel like my brain's been worn out for decades trying to translate what I really want to say into the Google search. So I do the ChatGPT search instead, especially now that it goes out there and searches the web. So it's like, man, it's quite the no-brainer to get listed in Perplexity and Claude and all that. And how does it even work? Like, I can't even imagine what a software interface to rank better on AI even looks like. So, like, what's the process?
Yeah. So I'm laughing because what you described is exactly the problems we've gone through for so long, and we know this is why we go to a ChatGPT or a Claude or other tools to have that conversation, to kind of learn and decide on the answer over time through back and forth conversation. It's why people are moving towards it, and it's great. It's why how people do research today. So there are a lot of ways to kind of like go about thinking about ranking better in the AI models. One thing I will say right off the bat is that these AI models are much more meritocratic with authoritative information than, say, a traditional search engine might be. Now, nobody understands the Google algorithm. Nobody truly understands how the LLMs rank, but there's just like SEOs existed for a long time. You can kind of understand what they think about. What we've realized over time is that the AI models just want the best information that's most authoritative and most like correct in their opinion based on what they're seeing, but written in a really smart and understandable way that's accessible and built kind of with language that's supported by the LLM. So they don't want big, long, fluffy paragraphs. They want bullet points and direct kind of information that's specific. And so we've found that the Google AI overviews at the top of a Google search, for example, half of those come from page 1 of results. But that means more than about half come from pages like 2 through 100. Like you don't have to be a first page ranking site or blog on Google to get into the AI overview. They're just going to choose the best information. And so how to get that information out there and posted, whether it's to your own blog and your own content or Reddit or Medium or other pages like that, getting it into other publications like a Forbes or an Entrepreneur is a great example. Like a lot of our customers use both Just Reach Out and ChatRank for that purpose. But it's really about getting the content out there that makes that the LLMs understand to be correct and authoritative and written in a smart way that they can understand. So I liken this to Google's had 30 years to like figure out how to scrape websites and figure out information. These LLMs it's like Google 1998. Like we're brand new with these LLMs. So simple things like making sure your site is correctly formatted and set up and structured for the LLMs. All that matters. And so our tool does one, it monitors and tracks different prompts for you. So you can track by topic and prompt to understand, like I said, in my coffee shop example from before, you can track all the different best coffee type of prompts, but also I want to spend an afternoon in St. Pete, like what do I do type prompts, and like making sure you're ranking for all those is different content and different kind of ways to do that. So we track and make visible all the different things you want to rank for. And then we provide content and kind of different ways to kind of go about getting to that based on what the LLMs are telling us they prefer in that niche or in that phase. And so we can provide you the content, we can provide you the site information to make sure your site is up to date and structured properly. All that's kind of just part of the process. And it's pretty quick. Like unlike traditional SEO, which might take a while to kind of rank and build your brand authority over time, the right piece of content with like the right type of information can quickly get you to go from 0 ranking to like very quickly high ranking in the AI models. We're talking like within like a week or two.
Man, this is amazing stuff. You're blowing my mind here, like because like you've heard for like decades these tools that track SEO keyword ranking. Like, oh well, this is I fell to number 4, I fell to number 5, but I hadn't thought that anyone would even think to create something that monitors prompts and like like we've all been through this. Like a few months pass, you enter the same kind of prompt and it's like a different answer, and so for this to like not be the answer for these prompts you want, but then to get in there or to figure out like, hey, what prompts am I targeting? What do I need to change on my website to make the LLMs easier to get it? What do I put in there if I'm doing the PR, if I'm getting on the Forbes or the Popular Mechanics or the Inc. magazine or whatever, like what information to put in there? Like, man, this is like some next level stuff. And you combine it with, like you said, the LLMs are new. It's like the wild, wild west all over again, where it's like no one really they haven't like plugged all the leaks yet, all the holes. You say, well, hey, there's ways you can get some real progress fast as long as you pay attention and you apply this strategy and you kind of like move things forward and you have a plan and you put it into action. And so these are some great ideas. And like we've been saying since the beginning here of our conversation, people won't just find you, right? And even if they do find you, well, do you know if it's for the right phrases? You know, if it's for the right people? If you leave that all up to random chance, then you're going to guarantee be frustrated. And that's why it's important to be focusing on these paths people take to find you. But as you said, you do the SEO, do the paid ads, but then you get edged out by the AI. So this is something that definitely needs our attention as far as JustReachOut.io, which is AI-powered PR software to crush your outreach, and then ChatRank.ai, which gets you to track and improve your brand's visibility across multiple leading AI tools. And as far as some next steps here, are those the places that someone should go? Do you have any other links to drop or just those 2 destinations?
Yeah. So I'd say if you're interested in either one of these tools, by all means, please justreachout.io as well as chatrank.ai are our 2 main websites. It's very easy. You can't miss our buttons to contact us from those pages. You let us know, and we're happy to answer your questions, talk to you about these tools, and really just help you succeed. That's our main goal. We're in it for the long haul. Our customers are not sign up and churn a month later. That's not what we focus on. Our customers are with us for the long haul, and that's on purpose.
Yeah, because it's a solid foundation and it's consistent progress. You plan out that PR, you get the podcast interviews, get those precious backlinks, get the SEO, and then you also get that ranking on the LLMs from ChatRank.ai, and then JustReachOut.io is that other link that we dropped. And before I let you go, Mr. John, it's time to scare you a little bit. Time to try to put you on the spot where I ask for a quote or lesson that has served you that you can pass on to us. So, what do you have for a quote or lesson?
Yes. So I think that the best kind of lesson I've learned recently, especially when we've been running these two businesses, is you have to start somewhere. And so we looked hard in the mirror last August when Google stopped spending our money, and we were like, what are we going to do to drive traffic again? What are we going to do to kind of win in here? And we realized that you got to start somewhere. You got to just figure out what's going on here. How do we get into the AI models? We had no idea what we were doing at the time. We were just kind of trying to figure it out. And so you kind of have to just understand that you see a problem ahead of you. You're not going to solve it if you don't start with something. So our customers that just reach out, oftentimes they're terrified of pressing like send that first email out to a journalist. They don't want to do it. They'll like schedule a meeting with us just so we can like press send together. Like it's just like at a certain point you have to write that first blog post, you have to send that first pitch email, and you just have to start somewhere and then build on it over time. So you're not going to be on the cover of Forbes on day one of using Just Reach Out. That's okay. Get into a really good Substack that has a really dedicated readership that you care about. Get on there first and then build from there. When it comes to ChatRank, write that first blog post, write that first piece of content that really you think will matter and it will help you, and then track to see if it works, and then write the second piece and the third piece, and then revise them. And it's just, you have to start somewhere. And so I think for our customers, for ourselves, our like our own team, you have to start somewhere, and we always try to tell our customers that as well.
And that's great advice for life and so many other things, right? You have to start somewhere. And we've all been stuck probably so many times in our life in that fashion, haven't we, John? Where you say, well, what I want is it's way far ahead in the future, but you're going to have to traverse that territory at some point. So you have to take that first step. And then there's also the problem of like, you procrastinate, or you think about it so much leading up to just that first step. And you're like, I spent 5 months thinking about it and then 5 minutes actually doing it. Like, why did I put myself through that? And like, you have that awareness, and maybe in the future you can say, hey, that other thing I procrastinated about 2 years ago, I spent so much time wondering, like, should I take my PR seriously? Should I look into ranking in the LLMs? Well, just take that first imperfect step. And then so many times you're like, well, hey, that was fun. I want to do it again, right? Anyone that's sold anything on eBay or Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, like, oh, I got rid of that old chair, that old desk. Man, I've got a free space now and I've got a little bit of money in my pocket. So exciting. So there's that just sold an item at the garage sale mentality. I was tired of looking at it. I was tired of procrastinating. I got a little win and it's like, whoa, I got a little dopamine hit. So why not get the dopamine hit instead of from scrolling social media or some other bad source? Get it from just having that first blog post, getting that PR opportunity, and being excited about actually like growing your business and creating this unstoppable flywheel machine with PR. But you can't do it alone, because if you could have, you would have done it already. That's why you need the help of Mr. Jon Mest and his team at JustReachOut.io. And if you're so scared that you have to meet and both click the button together to make it happen, well, whatever gets it done, JustReachOut.io, and then that amazing tool to get yourself ranked on LLMs, Google AI, Claude, Perplexity, etc., is ChatRank.ai. The way people discover and evaluate brands has fundamentally shifted, and the AI chat interfaces are becoming the new front page of the internet. That's why we need to use ChatRank.ai to get ourselves ranked on all of these newfangled platforms. So, Mr. John, it's been a blast. It's been educational, learning from you, figuring out some of these stories, these insights. I really appreciate you being here. So thanks for stopping by and helping us out. All right.